Welcome back to Hidden Power. This is a Pokemon podcast. Today we are going to be outlining our full predictions for the 2024 Pokemon game. We're also going to be discussing and predicting the next 5 years of Pokemon games. This will include the rest of Generation 9, Generation 10, a new Nintendo console, and the 30th year anniversary of the Pokemon franchise. This is going to be a fun episode. My name is DustyGogoat. I'm with the LumiosePost.
Hello.
And SoulSilverArt.
What's up?
We got a lot to talk about. There's so many possibilities. I don't think I've ever been less sure about what's going to happen in 2024. I think there's a lot of things a couple years down the line that I fully expect to receive. I guess I'll just hint it, right? Obviously, Gen 10. I think we're due for another Kanto and
Do
or
we think there'll be
Johto
another
game.
Gen 10? Will they do another Gen?
Yeah, there'll be
Pokemon
there
dead?
will be a Generation 10, 100%. I think we're also
That
a
would
lot
be
of
the most shocking thing.
There's been a ton of insider information about the Switch 2, or whatever that new Nintendo console is going to be, right? Yeah, but Lumi, everything. I mean, yeah, there have been rumors.
I don't believe anything.
Dude,
on
it's
the
happening
Switch
this
2
year. It's happening this
until
year.
Nintendo themselves drop a trailer for it.
They're pretty much. Listen, this isn't a Nintendo podcast, so we're not gonna get too into it. But I fully expect a new Switch title in 2024 or 2025. We're at the end of the console's lifetime, whether you like it or not. So it's gonna happen. But
Are we starting with this?
Why
'Cause this is
happen?
interesting.
It's not a thing of like it or not. It's a thing of I have been hearing Switch 2 rumors for about 10 years
Yes,
now.
but a lot of that is just content aggregation, right? Like, obviously, there's not going to be a new Switch game or Switch system.
I was
4
legitimately
years into the
hearing
system.
Switch 2 rumors in high school.
Okay.
No.
Yes. That doesn't
Yes,
make
I
sense.
was. I was.
When
I
You
did
were in
was.
high school when the Switch came out?
Yes.
I'm losing
What?
my mind.
That's crazy. All right, so let's start at this. What we know is that, okay, we just had Scarlet and Violet in 2022, right? We just finished up in 2023 2 rounds of DLCs, and we got an epilogue for the DLC for Scarlet and Violet. What are you guys expecting on Pokemon Day? So for context, every Pokemon Day, we get a Pokemon Presents. They kind of lay out what to expect for the year. It serves as kind of a reset for the franchise in their marketing campaign, what kind of games they're going to be promoting, and what kind of content we can enjoy. Every single year, pretty much, there's been maybe 1 or 2 anomalies, but pretty much every single year we get a brand new Pokemon game or experience, a video game experience. We get new Pokemon, right? New plot, new whatever. And this year, the timeline lines up because we're coming off of, because we're 2 years out from the release of Scarlet and Violet, which was the 9th generation. We are expecting a Pokemon remake. That is the safe bet. The question is, what kind of region are we going to be going back to? What game is going to get remade? How will it be remade? What's the engine going to look like? These are the things I want to discuss today.
Are we all in agreement that it'll be a Switch game, right? Like it won't be on the Switch 2
Yeah,
if that's releasing this year?
since you started with the Switch 2 thing, like, from what I'd heard like a year ago, everything that has been circling around seems to be accurate. That it's a PS4 quality Super Switch,
Which is pretty
And-
powerful.
yeah. Since we haven't heard
Games are on the
anything,
PS4.
since we haven't heard anything about when it's supposed to come out, people were saying September because of this one Game Shark thing. But that Game Shark employee, most people missed it. They were like, we're just assuming that that's when the Switch 2 is coming out because that's when our product is coming out as well for the Switch 2 or for a new Switch or something like that. But that was an assumption, so it doesn't.
Is Game Shark
confirm it?
like the? Is
No.
that Action Replay?
No, that's different.
No, it's different. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know exactly. It used to be something like that, but
Yeah, because there used to. It was for the Game Boy. It was called like
It was
a
the Game
or
Shark,
something
and
like
there
that.
was the Action Replay.
Yeah.
they've evolved into something else, I think. But
Okay, well, cool.
all
Good
of
for
that
them.
to
TK
say
Hex.
that if it comes out before like April, the Switch 2, I'm saying, because I'm like 95% sure it's coming out this year. If it comes out before April, then I think there's a chance that we get a Pokemon game on the Switch 2. But if it comes out anytime after that, I think that the Pokemon game of 2024 will come out on the old Switch.
Yeah.
I think the big question would be when the Switch 2 would be announced, because if the Pokemon game, whatever it is going to be announced February 27th, then there's no way that if Nintendo has not officially announced the next console, they're going to reveal a next console game. Yeah. So like it would have to get revealed in a Nintendo Direct in February, which typically does happen. There typically is a Nintendo Direct in February.
Yeah. We're not like in the realm of it being impossible, you know,
no,
like it's
absolutely.
still very possible to be like, hey, the Switch 2's coming. Like we get a Nintendo Direct before the Pokemon Direct or presents, and then we see, you know, we see how
I think everything that I've seen has suggested that the Switch 2 is likely, like, okay, I would imagine if they're going to want to release the Switch 2 enough time before the holidays, right? Then, and if that's this year, September lines up, and then they would need to announce it also ahead of time, right? They're not going to just like shadow drop it into Target, right? They're going to like
I'm trying to
give
think
us
of
a
what
trailer.
they did with the Switch though, because I don't know. I don't remember there being much time between when they announced the Switch to when they actually dropped.
I think
the
what
Switch.
typically happens is that consoles typically have shortage issues, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to always be a trend. And this goes into my next point, right? Even if the Switch 2 or whatever you want to call it.
The Switch was unveiled October 20th, 2016 and came out in most regions March 3rd, 2017.
So what is that?
So
6
about
months
5
later?
months. About 5-6 months, yeah.
So if we get in February, if they announce a Switch 2, then where does that leave us? In the summer?
It would come out August, September.
Perfect.
So that does line up with the little Game Shark thing.
That is what I would expect.
In February.
It does line up, but the thing is, like, how bad would it be if they're like, they announce a Switch 2 and then a couple days later on Pokemon Day, they announce a Pokemon game for 2024 and it's on the normal Switch.
No,
it's like,
let me tell you,
it's not even coming out for the Switch 2.
Let me tell you, Soul. Everything I've heard about the Switch 2 is that the Switch games are going to be, or the Switch 2 is going to be backwards compatible with previous Switch games, right?
That would make 100% sense because of what I've heard about it, but it doesn't. I've never heard that it's backwards compatible. It just makes sense because it's like it's not that much different.
I've heard it's backwards compatible.
Will be like the 3DS could play DS games, but also had its own games.
Yeah, and
that would add up.
And just like what you're saying, Lumi, I think that also lines up with what Game Freak has done in the past. There are interviews stating that the Pokemon Company, or at least Game Freak, prefers to put their Pokemon games on platforms where the most people are, right? They want to put their games not on exclusive consoles. They want to make sure that their stuff is accessible, and they've demonstrated this before with a lot of releases. So I expect if the Switch comes out this year, that no matter what, the 2024 game is going to still be on Switch. And for
what
those
it's
who have the
worth,
Switch 2, they can still play it on the Switch 2, on the new console.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
For what it's worth, the 3DS released in 2011, and in 2012, Pokemon released Black 2 and White 2, which was a DS game, not a 3DS.
Yeah, 100%.
So I mean,
and even with the 3DS to the Switch, even though the Kalos, that's a Freudian slip. Even though the Kanto, Kanto remakes, right? Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Even though those did debut on the Switch, that wasn't a brand new generation, right?
Mm-hmm.
They hadn't fully committed to jumping onto the new console.
It was also an experimental game, so like it wasn't even like traditional.
Yeah, think of it. That's true. In a lot of ways, it is like Mystery Dungeon or Ranger or whatever.
I just like with the DS, Pokemon Ranger came out for the DS, if I'm not mistaken, before Diamond and Pearl came out for the DS. So that was another example of like a spin-off. Now Let's Go isn't technically a spin-off, but a non-traditional game coming out
core series
before the core series traditional game. I do think I want to explore the option of to bring this back into what Pokemon game is releasing this year,
because that's the biggest question,
right? So with 2021, they announced on Pokemon Day that Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl would be coming out in November 2021, and then 2 months later, they actually didn't give the exact release dates, but they said early 2022 they'll be releasing Legends Arceus. They announced two games. What if we see a scenario where they say, hypothetically, 2024, I don't think it'd be these games specifically, but just to illustrate, 2024 November, we're releasing black and white traditional remakes on the Switch. 2025 early, we're releasing a Switch 2 game that's a Legend style black and white game, or something to that
Wild.
effect.
Yeah.
Like, so they announce them both. They
They
announce a
honestly
Switch
could
game
do
and a
that.
Switch
That
2
is
game.
the most likely situation, in my opinion.
Wow, that's
it.
crazy. But wouldn't that be? Wouldn't that prevent people from buying? I guess it would It both incentivizes people to get the new system, and it also alienates people. I think that I do love that, but I think it'd be safer to predict that both would be. They could do the same thing. Both would be available on the base Switch. They're obviously backwards compatible and can be played on the new Switch, but maybe there's some additional perks. Maybe there's some things and features where you get access to new mythical Pokemon if you're playing on the new Switch. Because we've seen Pokemon do that with Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, with Legends Arceus, with BDSP. Every game has unlockable perks based on your game data, right? So they could do something like that. But I love the train of thought.
The whole thing is, and I don't know if we've ever talked about this in an episode before, but the main thing is, I don't think that they can just sell. I mean, they probably can. Don't get me wrong, because they're Pokemon.
I really don't know about their marketing strategy. I don't.
They're Pokemon, but they can probably they probably can't just sell like a plain old BDSP black and white remake, and not say anything else for this year, and just be like, yeah, you're just getting a remake, and that's it, and enjoy your year of. It's been the opposite. They've been trying to keep themselves in our minds for longer. They're like, you know how they like staggered this whole Scarlet and Violet DLC thing. They staggered it very well all the way to Pokemon Day, basically. So, and even with the raids and everything, you know, like they're just like keep Pokemon in your head, keep it in your head. So like, I don't think that there's a world where, I'll say it this way: either they do one game that's a remake this year and there's new content in it, and it's enough content that we can like get hype about it, and they can promote it and not be like BDSP, where like they could not promote BDSP because there's nothing in it, basically. Or they just release it just like BDSP and Legends Arceus, and they hype up that we get like a Legends game in 2025, early 2025. Those are the two ways that I see it going. So
I'm hearing is my man Ewow might be in the kitchen cooking.
Oh yes, I like that a lot. I like what he
cooks.
The goat. I like what he cooks.
Hashtag Ewow the goat in the comments.
Either that or the most depressing thing ever, which is Dusty was saying that I forget what you said exactly, but it was something like they want to release games every year, and they have been wanting to do that in more recent years, but that has not always been. And I'm still afraid that we just get a year that's a gap year. It just
I don't
kind of downplays.
I think they have too much momentum.
No, I don't think it's going to happen. I'm just saying that's still a possibility. It's still always a possibility.
I would say 2025 is more likely to be a gap year than 2024.
Oh, that would suck.
I think
the worst.
I think a
that would
gap.
be the
that too,
worst.
yeah.
That would be the worst, because then if we get just a remake this year that's got like a little bit of new content and then nothing in 2025,
that's 2 years of nothing.
Yeah, that's like 2 years of nothing.
Well,
which is
how would we feel? How would we feel about a scenario where like hypothetically, to go back in time, Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl releases 2021. January 2022, Legends Arceus drops. Then Scarlet and Violet doesn't come out until November 2023.
See, I think in that
the
reality,
gap year comes on a year where you do get something that January.
That's true. That's true. We've never. People talk about patterns. Oh, we're only gonna get this. If we get an Ilka remake, it's gonna suck because the only time we've ever received
if we
that
get an Ilka
remake,
it's gonna suck.
No, but
he's not wrong.
No.
Not wrong.
Listen,
this is a true statement.
No. I think it's a glorified port, and if the base games are good, which black and white games are good, so I think it could still be a good
games
game.
were good.
They were not good.
Yeah, they were.
Platinum is good.
This is a matter of opinion.
Platinum is good. There's so many
Diamond and Pearl were
glaring
great.
issues.
Get out of here.
I liked Diamond and Pearl when they first came out, and I liked BDSP for what it was, like being the game that it was. It just didn't change anything.
Yeah. So no, Zach, going off Lumi, going off of what you said, I think the important thing to keep in mind here is they have never just given us a faithful remake as is with no additional context or lore, right? Just as is standalone. So I think it honestly makes sense if we do expect that, there'll either be an addition, there'll be a twist, or there'll be another game. I think asking for another game.
That's exactly what I was just saying. Like, exactly. They cannot, to me, they can't sell it. Like, maybe they would get some sales, and I don't know, maybe some people would fall for it, but
then it would last like 2 weeks and then be flat. We'd have nothing.
It'd be dead.
For 12
It'd be
months.
not only that, but the whole hype season before it would be dead. There'd be nothing. They'd just be like, we're just releasing a game this year, and that's it. Whatever money we get from it is that. And they would probably bank. But what are we gonna say?
Do we think they're gonna outsource in 2024?
I think they could. Yeah.
I don't think it will be Ilka, but do you think they'll outsource?
I think
if you think so, who do you think they're outsourcing to?
I have no
Bandai
idea.
Namco.
That's who we all want.
I have no idea.
That would be so good.
Yeah.
It would be good, but there's no. I have heard nothing, and I know nothing. It could be anyone. I don't know who it could.
How about
be.
this? Tell me this, guys.
They outsourced to me. It's gonna be really bad. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, you're like, I made it in MS Paint.
A lot of what Kua said.
Those sticky notes where you could draw like a guy running and that's the Pokemon game.
That's cool, dude.
A lot of what
that sounds like a fun indie game.
Yeah. Koo hinted at
this is what I want to talk about. Let's set up the leaks. So the leaks, the rumors. What context do we have to make predictions?
Than me, because he's the one asking him all the time about it.
That's true. I do try to ask Koo questions a lot. He's lately started to be ignoring me.
It happens.
He doesn't like the game. But
so I do want to say something that I thought was really interesting. Was I'm gonna pull it up to make sure that I have it 100% accurate and I don't misread it. But so Koo posted when the year changed over and it became 2024.
Oh, by the way, he said something last night. I'm sorry to interrupt you. But
did he
say something? Yeah, I forget. Crap. But anyway, continue.
But he said happy 2024 guys, and he put the little champagne glasses clicking or whatever. But then under that he put a black chess piece. And that kind of makes me wonder if maybe they will lean. That gave me the idea of I wonder if they'd lean more into like the chess theme of Black and White, the like chessboard theme. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe like
that is true.
Even
chess
in its name or its themes, I don't know.
Here, how about this? I think what I really want to...
I really liked your idea, by the way, of the games being called Deep Black and Vast White.
Yeah, so I'm playing through Black and White right now, and I just captured Reshiram, and I noticed it was called the Vast White Pokemon. I did a little Google search. Zekrom is called the Deep Black Pokemon, right? The Deep Abyss, right? Vast White, the vast sky, right? Up and down, right? I think those would be really cool names for new Pokemon games. But I think here, let's do this. Well, I think I'm just trying to give as much context for new listeners as possible, right? People who aren't tied into the rumors, into the leaks. The context that we have, right? I think the popular thought process. I'll take you through the timeline, right? Basically, Johto was the last game we got, the earliest Pokemon game in region that we've been to, way back in, 2012, maybe 2011. That game has not been remade, right? The previous games before that were the Sinnoh games, and those were just remade. So the idea is that those Johto games are going to be then revisited next in line. That's the timeline that has been created. And if we're following that timeline, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, we're going to go back to Johto. However, the rumors and the leaks, these are credible people, right? These aren't like some random Twitter shills, right? These aren't this isn't a kid in high school, right? This is literally someone who has verifiable information. They've given us info in the past. They've got like a 3-year track record, 4-year track record. And the hints have been about a Unova remake, which is the Black and White, Black 2, White 2 games, right? Generation 5 in the Unova region. If you're listening and if you've played the new DLC, the context here is we got the DLC and have realized that the DLC takes place, the Blueberry Academy, it takes place in Unova, and there are countless hints and teases and callbacks to the Unova region. So even though we thought, okay, we're going to go back to the Unova in 2024, now the conversation has opened to think maybe we already went back to Unova, and that's why we're having this discussion today. Where are we going next? If you're enjoying this episode, please consider supporting Hidden Power on Patreon or YouTube channel members. Right now, we have 4 tiers, and the lowest membership starts at just $5 a month. Supporters get access to our secret Discord server and help control the direction of the podcast. Supporters also get access to our archive of bonus episodes.
Okay, so our Discord, honestly, is popping. We have other creators in there, too, which is kind of fun. It ain't just the 3 of us. We're discussing leaks when they drop. We talk about news. We'll be talking about how SoulSilverArt has, just garbage takes.
It's much
a place
fun.
for us to connect.
I'm in there every day. Also, we have revamped our merch store. So proud of every product that is in this store now. We have stickers, t-shirts, mugs, ball caps, right? The dad caps. These ball caps are embroidered. Look at this. It's literally an embroidered.
So clean.
You cannot get anything more high quality than that.
I just got news. Do y'all hear that? Soulbasaur says that he even has his own merch.
I'll talk for him. It's beautiful. Very cool designs. You guys should
Very
check it out.
Japanese style.
Even the front of the shirt has a unique logo.
I'm getting one for sure.
If you're invested in this show, invest in the show. Thank you so much for watching, and now back to the video. Where are we going next? Is it going to be the Johto game? Is it going to be the Unova game? Is it going to be something else? Right?
I'm still Team Unova, like in terms of what I think
People are
will
silly.
happen. Not what I want. But
It's a very silly thing to just be like, oh, we went there, so now we're not going to go there.
right.
Well,
I don't know.
I think it. I don't know. I don't think that's silly at all. I think the
Because we didn't go there.
we did go there.
Yeah.
No, we didn't.
We went to
didn't
Unova.
go there.
We were in borders of Unova. We did not go to the Unova region.
Not the one we know.
We went to the Unova region. That doesn't mean, right? That doesn't mean we went. That doesn't mean we got
to the Unova region.
Yeah, I'm not saying that replaces the Gen 5 remake. I think the actual. Listen, if we're not going back to Unova now, we're probably gonna go to Johto, and then the next remake cycle, which would be, dude, that's what's crazy actually. So if we jump ahead in the timeline, I think it makes a lot of sense. Every 3 years we get a new generation, so the thought process I'm on right now, Gen 10 2025, and then in 2026, which so happens to be the 30th year anniversary of the Pokemon company, right? Of Pokemon
Which is
itself,
huge. That's
which is
actually huge. It's
That's
not,
bigger than
It's not just
25.
like, oh, it's an anniversary of Gold and Silver
Yeah.
or something like that. It's like the whole company anniversary. It's a big one.
So the thought process is we're probably going to get a Kanto game, which would probably include a Johto game. And honestly, by that logic, I'm actually convincing myself live on air that, Unova would have to be remade now or in 2028.
Counterpoint.
Right.
If 2025 is when Gen 10 is, then 2026, which is when the 30th anniversary would be, would have to be Gen 10 DLC. They're not going to, unless they move away from DLC, because they're not going to revisit Gen 10 by giving it DLC in 2027 when,
Unless
you haven't touched this game in a year, but here's DLC.
Unless they do away with DLC altogether.
And if they do that, then that's a whole nother discussion.
Sure.
They could do like Pokemon, like 1 and 2, and then you have you have the next year, the anniversary, do the Johto game, and then the next year you do Pokemon 3. You do the third version.
You guys are making a lot of sense. I think actually the DLC kind of functions for Game Freak as a buffer period to, basically work within the engine that they've just created. Previously, I think remakes kind of functioned like that. It's like they spent all this time creating an engine, and then they go.
I would say third versions, but yeah.
I would say third versions. I think also remakes because you have the same exact engine, right? You're basically you have an existing story, you have existing Pokemon, right? You have an existing engine. You just recreate that, and then since they've had a lot of trouble, moving into the 3D, 3D video games. And I think the DLC kind of functions as a buffer where they're like, okay, we get a whole extra year of development if we give them DLC, which is just like a new area in 3D. Maybe that's not true. Maybe because even though it's the same engine, like you still have to create a brand new biome, which actually is that could be difficult, right? brand new
think-
story.
That's honestly something we gotta discuss too. Is what is the likelihood of Gen 10 in 2025 being on a new console when Scarlet and Violet looked the way it did on a console they've been working on for 3 years?
I think the new console will help it. From what I've heard, Scarlet and Violet on a better console would function. Maybe not.
I think it'll look better. I don't know how it'll play.
Yeah, it might not play as good.
Yeah.
So basically, just to follow the
because that's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
Like,
no, but
they're going to say about, especially if it's going to have
that.
PS4 graphics. I looked it up. That's the Spider-Man game.
Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima is a good one. If you look at Ghost of Tsushima, that you'll be like, oh wow. But here's what I have to say about all of that. Basically, I lost my train of thought.
Basically, I lost my train of thought.
Totally lost it.
Well, what I was gonna say,
that would look so sick as Pokemon. Holy cow!
I was thinking about this.
Like you're riding Ponyta. But what I was gonna say is like, you know, maybe the DLC had a function in the fact that it gave Game Freak extra time to work on main series games, which allows them to then outsource, right, to those smaller teams or to Ilka, right?
Okay, but
and that's why yeah,
they had the Sword and Shield DLC, and then so that takes away time, you know, it makes it easier, and then the next game was Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah. I don't mean like, extra time.
So is it helping them that much?
No, but it's like delaying the amount of time or whatever. Because like when you have to create a brand new game, I don't know, that is, I'm just thinking, I'm like stuck on, I'm thinking right now like, yeah, maybe DLC won't last forever, and that's what you were saying.
Yeah.
But if
I don't
it does,
think it will. I don't think it will.
Wow. But if it does, I think, and this goes to my point, if the timeline continues and in 2025 we get Generation 10, 2026 could be DLC in Kalos. I'm sorry, I did it again. DLC in Kanto in Johto.
He just hates Kanto that much.
I know, he wants it to be Kalos.
He doesn't want it to be
just
Kanto
like in
ever.
Scarlet and Violet, right? We don't go to the Azores in DLC, right? We go to the United States of America, and we go to Japan, which seems really random.
So the question is, what's the Gen 10 region that's going to get the short end of the stick like Spain and Portugal?
Probably the
Especially Portugal.
Right?
Netherlands
Portugal.
is my bet. Netherlands coupled with probably Belgium.
I'm gonna go to Japan.
We're jumping all over the place.
Yeah.
But I think this is what I was gonna say earlier. I think that they have had, since we've been talking about the Switch 2, and like that it's been rumored since Lumi was in high school.
Literally.
I think that Game Freak has had a prototype of the Switch 2 for that long, and maybe even longer. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They have been working on whatever Gen 10 is, or whatever the next new console game is, on that prototype console, and probably gotten even updated versions of it. That's how it usually works. So I think that right now they have it in hand, and they are working on Gen 10 right now with it.
Yeah.
Because they always start like right when the last generation was done, they're started. So I don't know where I was going with that, but I'm just saying like they've had it for a while. So the whole question about would it work well? I think it will look good. Maybe it won't function as well as we think, because hopefully this is not a new Scarlet and Violet trend for Pokemon.
Yeah. I know that's gonna be disappointing if it is. But
the big thing is, if we were talking about earlier, like having, we didn't say this option. If we have like a Legends, it's not going to be Legends probably, but a Legends game in 2025.
Yeah, like a
January,
an experimental game.
And then it's possible that they do the same exact thing where it's like, okay, we got Legends in whatever year it was, the same year as Gen 9, as Scarlet and Violet came out in the fall of that year.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's still possible. So like 2024, we get a remake. 2025 January, we get an experimental game. 2025 fall, we get Gen 10.
But I really think
that would be insane.
That would be
like,
insane. I really think
people
that was
probably won't like that.
I really think that was rushed, because they had stuff planned and they were like,
There is the whole COVID like.
yeah, I think there was a
argument.
delay and they were like, we don't know what to do. Right, like we have to get this stuff out before we put out Gen 9.
None of it's
There's
confirmed.
a theory.
Sadly.
No,
There's a
but-
theory that Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl was not planned and it was supposed to be Legends in 2021.
Yeah.
And they knew that Legends was going to get pushed back because of COVID, so they outsourced a filler game.
I love that you use the word theory because it's not confirmed at all.
No.
But it does make perfect sense.
Wow,
it does
that
make
factually happened.
sense. Yeah.
A theory, like we're in the Pokemon community. A
Yes.
leak is referring to a 4chan rumor,
Yeah.
and that means it is 100% true.
Yeah, a leak means someone just wrote it.
You
on
know, like
Twitter.
we use
Right.
theory all the time too, and theory is not even the right
It's
word.
a hypothesis.
Yeah, hypothesis is
Yeah.
the better word.
But-
Theory
but
is
who
like
wants to
an
write that in the
actual,
thumbnail?
well thought out and factual backing up stuff. But
So,
anyway,
guys,
the
let's-
Pokemon
I
community.
think this is a theory. Like, there's actual support to it. I mean, because how did we not see the effects of COVID on Pokemon? How
Because
I
they
mean,
work from home
could
already and
you-
already have plenty
do
of
they
teams.
work from home?
I mean, it probably wasn't that big of a transition for them. I don't know. Video games, it was a little easier depending on your company, I guess. I don't know.
I mean,
I'm just
not for
making up
Tears of the
stuff.
Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom got delayed 2-3 years.
Yeah, but
I think they
don't
got
think the new
delayed because
game.
they
I don't think
wanted
the
to
black and
delay
white
it.
remake is going to be as big. As Tears of the
Obviously
Kingdom.
not. I'm more thinking Gen 10 or
Yeah.
or depending on what the experimental game is. Because the thing is, we have 2 experimental games, right? And they range from Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, which doesn't take near as much effort as Legends Arceus. You know, like those, you can tell that one was wildly harder to make.
Yeah.
So the question is where does the experimental game fall on
Sure.
that spectrum, right? Is it
Or does it
closer to
does
Let's
it
Go
even
Pikachu and
exist
Eevee,
though
or-
too?
Yeah, that's
I know
also
I
another thing.
I know I said that it's the most likely scenario, but there's also a scenario where it was the other option where we get a decent remake this year. Where
Yeah, just
there's
like a classic-
some stuff.
A classic
Yeah.
Pokemon remake, like Heart
Like a
Gold,
little
Soul Silver,
Oras.
Omega Ruby, Alpha
Yeah.
Sapphire. Yeah,
Actually,
it's
Heart
literally
Gold, Soul
just a
Silver is
one-
probably a better.
like a true remake. Those
Yeah.
that's honestly what if we get that, that's great because then we get in the inclusion of it
Not that
functions
great.
almost like a sequel, right? It's like we get the game and then we get to see characters from the Blueberry Academy, right? We get to see progression of characters. We get to see Gen 9 characters and we get to see new Pokemon being integrated into the Unova region, right? Like Bisharp can evolve into King Gambit in your base playthrough of Black and White. That's the kind of remake I think I would want to see. Not the most, obviously I want something experimental, but my safe bet, my safe prediction is a game like that, a true Pokemon remake. But
It wouldn't be that great either, though. I mean, yeah, it's
No, that would be good.
That's what they used to do, and it was good enough. But if they don't add anything proper to it, not even a single new Pokemon,
Yeah.
we didn't get any new Pokemon in Heart Gold, Soul Silver. I
they
don't
will
think.
though.
And
No, we didn't.
yeah,
We
so
got-
it's like
we got Notch Deer Pichu.
Spiky Pichu, whatever. That's the only thing we got, and that is
Notch Deer,
not. That's not cutting it.
Oh,
I don't know,
and
but
that was platinum. Never mind.
so the option is that we do that, and then in 2025 we just get Gen 10, and that's it.
But I'm fine with that, dude. I'm fine with that.
I'm
I
almost fine with that.
I would
I'm
not
so
mind
crazy
that
about just a
depending
remake.
on how.
I want
The Black
resources
and
to be
White
on
remake.
Gen 10.
I wouldn't mind. So for me, the issue with Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl wasn't so much it being faithful
Yeah.
as much as it was the style choice. I wish I had gotten to see the Sinnoh region in
Yeah.
the same art style as Sword and Shield.
Yeah.
So if it is a
I agree.
faithful
I
black
agree.
and white remake in the style of Sword and Shield, okay.
No, you know what? I
mean
watched an
Scarlet
amazing. I wish I
Scarlet
could.
Violet.
I wish
No,
I,
not Scarlet and Violet. No, good God. Did you see those games?
I thought you liked how they looked.
I
Lumi.
liked
I
how
listened
they
back to our
looked,
first
but
episode.
I'm
You
not
said it was your
convinced.
favorite Pokemon game.
Especially the models of
DLC
the
ruined it for
Pokemon.
me.
The
The
models of the Pokemon.
I do give you. The
I
models
want
of the
that.
Yeah, that is really good. Honestly, that's a great point. I just with Scarlet and Violet, I don't want. I like the way the game looks when it's running correctly, and that's my issue. Is if they make Unova look like Scarlet and Violet, is it gonna run correctly?
Oh, probably not.
Okay, then I'd rather they do Sword and Shield.
I'm
Guys-
afraid that this is a new trend, you guys. I'm like that we're gonna get.
Sword and
Because
Shield
I
were
don't-
pretty, man.
They were. So check this out. I think the
I agree.
magic. I watched an amazing video. I wish I could source it right here, but the magic here of Sword and Shield, right? These are the games that you all, the entire internet, all of you said was like looked horrible, right? The magic
don't
of Sword
agree.
and Shield, even though it
The
wasn't,
one tree.
even though it wasn't open world, right? When you're playing around in this very linear turf field, town or whatever it's called, right?
Fairfield, that's right.
Even though you can't actually, because you can't actually travel and go to those mountains in the distance, they could make those mountains and those lands and those forests and those towns and those fields in the distance. If we got a Sinnoh game like this, it would be absolutely beautiful. And I think one of the weakest parts of Scarlet and Violet is that if you remove yourself, like if this is Scarlet and Violet, right, and you're in one of the towns, if you just like fly 20 seconds outside of the town and look at the town, there's like 3 buildings, and you think like, again, I wish I could credit the video, but they describe it as like you feel like you've removed yourself outside of the game and you're looking at it just feels broken, right? It doesn't feel like a truly immersive experience.
Sure, like honestly, the Soar
there's
feature
no illusion.
and Oris did a better job with it.
Yeah,
like-
yeah, totally. I think
And maybe like a hybrid style, something in between Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet,
Yeah.
so that we can keep the Pokemon models, but so that the game does not look like,
poo-poo.
yeah.
Like
I mean, here's
what's
the
dung
thing.
beetle
It's
Pokemon?
not what we're talking about. Is it not being developed by Game Freak anyway? So there's a
That's
high
true.
chance. There's a high chance that it won't just be like a Scarlet and Violet, like in the Scarlet and Violet engine, graphics, all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most likely
It's made by
they'll build
Bandai
something themselves.
Namco, so it's gonna be in the new Pokemon Snap engine.
I gotta play that game
go.
still.
Dude,
Let's
could you
go.
I got it for
imagine?
Christmas.
Could you imagine?
I know, I'm down for that. Very down. But at the same time, there's not much. I'm like one of those people, and there's a lot of us out there that are kind of just like, kind of done with remakes. Like, do we have to do remakes?
No, listen.
Can we just
For
get
oh
the
my God,
experimental
this is wild.
games instead?
Listen.
Oh, I do see that. The experimental games. I don't know. Well, where would you see the thing is Pokemon's remade games like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
And
4.
of those, because let's go Pikachu and Eevee, honestly, that's a remake as much as it is an
5.
experimental game.
There's
It's
5
a remake
remakes.
of Yellow. Yeah.
Mhm.
Now the question is like what kind of remake are we talking? Because in terms of it being a remake, Oris, incredible job. It was practically an experimental game, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't just a remake of the plot of Ruby and Sapphire. They added Megas not only into the game as a feature, like Let's
Yeah.
Go Pikachu and Eevee added it as a feature, but Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire made it a part of the plot.
Yeah.
Oris is probably the perfect remake game to me, even though they took out some stuff. I love that they added.
They changed
New things.
stuff. Yeah.
Yes,
I don't even care.
exactly.
I
You have, you
like
have an
that they
encounter with
changed stuff.
Latias, right? You have you have
All of
Full-
that
They
makes it
gave
a
the
new
abandoned
experience.
ship.
every
like,
character
lore
gets a
to it.
redesign, right? You can actually you can
Yes.
you can evolve your you can get Gallade, right? You can play through Hoenn, not with Gardevoir, but with the Gen 4 evolution that is now accessible to you, right? Wally gets a full treatment, a final rival battle, right?
The Battle Frontier. Oh wait, no, never mind. But yeah,
Yeah, there are so many beautiful
Not
things about
that.
Omega Ruby. Listen, when the Riddler wrote the term Paradox Unova, that's kind of what we've been playing around with for the last couple
Just so you know,
months
he
now.
just put that as an option on a multiple choice
Right,
question.
yeah.
Like
Yes.
that's
It's
all
not
that
like an
we
actual-
No, I know, but what we're discussing, right? I mean, he obviously said that for a reason, right? I would think, right? I mean, sure, he could be saying some BS, but I think that Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire and a lot of the remakes that we've received in the past are essentially Paradox versions. They're alternate dimension reality versions
That's
of the
a vibe.
games that we've already played, right?
Yeah.
And the only, I guess even Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl even fits that bill a little bit less so, but
yeah.
it's like it's a more in line with the actual reality that exists. But so I think whatever game we get next for Unova, there's a lot of, even if it's outsourced, it could be great because it might not be a rush job, right?
Yeah.
So basically,
See, there is another point just before you go on. because we should take it back and then keep
Yeah,
going.
I want to take it back.
But that is a big point, that if it's outsourced, what is Game Freak doing?
They're Gen 10.
I'm just saying.
I
just working Gen 10?
honestly, in a perfect world,
Have two
not
teams.
doing a Legends game or something in 2025, and they're just working on Gen 10.
They
so
have
that Gen 10
they have two
can
teams,
be...
bro. They have two teams. So one team is working on something.
The
other
two
team's
teams
working on
things.
something
The
else.
two teams
they have
things
3
didn't
teams.
Work, though. It didn't work. Legends
doesn't matter if it worked or not. It matters what they're
did. And
I know.
Scarlet and Violet. I'm saying. Here's what you do.
I agree with what you're saying.
First off,
I'm just saying that they might not have changed it. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like,
yeah,
that's what it is. So
I get you.
Are they changing it because it worked or not? I don't know.
I get you. The perfect world though would be they look at EWOW and they say, "Hey, your team's gonna do Gen 10," and Omori goes, "What am I doing?" You go, "Omori, you're gonna not."
You're gonna draw.
Omori,
Awesome.
you sit back and you just enjoy the ride, buddy.
Yeah,
You served your time.
Okay, so let's just take it back a little bit. I guess I want to just hear what your guys' let's just all explain what we think our prediction is for 2024, and then we can move on to the next couple years. Okay,
I mean, that's what this is. I don't know what else to say.
Well, I know, but let's just
say.
let's just simplify it. We're having the discussion, but let's simplify it, and then we'll move on to the following years. Soul, what is your prediction for 2024, 2025? Basically the holiday window, right? The winter season.
Right. So 2024, as in, so the year of February 27th, 2024 to February 27th, 2025.
Yeah.
The Pokemon year.
The Pokemon year. Yeah.
So I'm with Lumi, and I do think that there will be a Unova remake for this year.
Yeah.
Fall 2024. 2025 I told you already, it could either be there's an experimental game in January or there's nothing. That's the two options that I have. And then Gen 10s later.
Okay.
In the year.
Yeah.
I would say exact same thing. I would also clarify though, and I know you think this, Soul, that the 2025 game, if there is one, is not a Legends game and it is not a Let's Go game.
Yeah.
It's something new.
Yes, since you're on that topic, this is another thing I was going to say, and I've been planning this tweet for a long time, but this video will probably be out before.
We need a shirt that just says, "I've been planning this tweet for a long time." I feel like you say that so often.
Honestly,
because I'll
make
have to do it for what is the word? I forget the word, but I have to do it just, I don't know, prosperity's sake or whatever it is. What I can't think of the word. But yeah, I have to do it for the sake that people don't think that I just are copying things here. But anyway, I've literally had this written, and this video is going to come out later. So I think that we got Unova in Scarlet and Violet, and then if we get another Unova this year in 2024, we're not going to get Unova again in 2025. It's not going to be Unova.
That's a good point.
It's going to be Unova Johto, or it's going to be Unova Johto.
Guys, I didn't even think about this, but the DLC in a way is the Paradox Unova. It's different Unova. It's Unova, but offshore and artificial, right? It's that could be the DLC that we just played for Scarlet and Violet, the Indigo Disc, is kind of the experimental Unova game.
I mean, yeah, kind of. I didn't want to derail us with that, so I don't know what you were saying, Lumi, but I just wanted to make that point that I don't think that they're just going to do like Unova for the next 2 years. I mean, we've already had it now, and
yeah.
I would push back a little bit on that because honestly, like Blueberry Academy is not a Unova remake.
I agree, and we were saying that at the beginning. I
mean, it doesn't have. There's still like half the Unova decks missing in Scarlet and Violet. It has some nods to the music, sure. It has some nods to characters, but no actual characters appear. No actual cities, towns, anything like that appear. And the big thing that makes me push back with that is that if we get the faithful Unova game in 2024, then I think they could do something with the concepts and the characters and the cities, the stuff introduced in Black 2 and White 2 in an experimental game in 2025.
Yeah, I was waiting to bring it up, but like the whole Black 2, White 2 is another.
Yeah.
What's the right word? It's another thing to throw into the mix.
variable. Yeah, I think
Greg said from PKMN, we had him on our little holiday thing, and I'm pretty sure it was Greg. One of y'all correct me if I'm wrong. But Greg even talked about the big thing with Black 2 and White 2 is that they so heavily focus on those characters and like external media. Like they do not want you to forget who those characters are. They all the time are promoting stuff with, I think it's Nate, and I don't remember the Nate and Rosa.
Pokemon Masters, Nate and Rosa.
They're always promoting.
Those are protagonists in their own right.
Roxy, Marlin. Often when they show Charon, they show the Black 2, White 2 Charon, not the Black and White Charon.
So I think that's beautiful.
Why would they push all these characters and they want you to remember those characters and not do anything with them ever? Because if they're going to do something with them, this is their window. They're not going to, give us Unova
that is true.
and then revisit Black 2, White 2 Unova later.
So I think the perfect solution, right? It's an experience to give us basically. Think of it like not a black and white remake, not a Gen 5 remake, but like a Unova remake. It's a new game in Unova, right? Is to basically give us that additional sequel. It's a game that takes place, let's say, 10 years after Black 2 and White 2. And I'm not saying it's a full-on continuation, but it kind of is, where it's like you have new protagonists, like Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, right? You have brand new protagonists that live in the shadow, in the aftermath, kind of Red, Blue, and Yellow, right? So you have those characters, they're brand new characters, and you go throughout the Unova region. The biggest thing for me is that if you're going to play Unova, how can you, like you said, like Greg said, how can you exclude these new characters that were introduced in Black 2 and White 2? I think you do that by giving us a new experience in Unova that's a linear sequel, and that allows you to then now introduce new features, new things, new whatever. You can simply write out the what is it, the Broadway musicals, or like the Polka Studios. You can just say they closed, Netflix put them out of business, right? Or Amazon put them out. You can just explain that away, right? Through it being a sequel, and then basically you're not remaking one or the other. You're just giving us a new game.
Mm-hmm. What are your predictions for Pokemon year 2024?
I think,
so including January 2025.
Yeah, I think as much as I want Johto, and I think it does make sense that it's next in line, I do think it makes sense that they would want to save Kanto and Johto, because those are usually paired together, to save those for the 30th anniversary, in which case Unova would be great. I think the idea of a sequel game. And here's the thing. The new characters we see in the Indigo Disc, I actually don't know where that falls on the timeline in comparison to the story of Unova. But it would make sense if we get another game that takes place on mainland Unova, a new adventure, new protagonist, whatever. It's like a disbanded, a reforged Team Plasma in the memory of N. Maybe N is a final battle at the end of the game. But you also can take those characters from the Indigo Disc and see how they, operate in mainland Unova. That's the experimental game. That's the remake. It's all in one. I think that would be a great addition. And it's basically, to me, that's a brand new game, right? That's a brand new game. That's not a remake.
Yeah.
That's a brand new game. So I would love to see that the most. And then none of this other prediction stuff based on patterns, because even though I love Legends, I think there's a possibility we get that in the
I don't think it'll be a Legends
on the 30th anniversary, but not this year, not next year. Those are my predictions.
Unless they change.
So then to clarify,
months.
Yeah. Soul and I think that in 2024 there will be a traditional remake of Black and White.
Yeah.
And then maybe in 2025 there is an experimental game.
Yeah.
I think it would be Unova. Soul does not. And then Dusty, you think that nothing in 2025, like early 2025, but in 2024 there would be a remake that is more in line with like Oris, where there are changes, there are, it's not like Brilliant Diamond Shiny Pearl, or even Heart Gold and Soul Silver was much more, it was closer to Brilliant Diamond Shiny Pearl in terms of how faithful it was than Oris.
And it'll be called It'll be called Deep Black, Pokemon Deep Black and Vast White, and I think also
I do really think you have something there.
And I think also
really like that.
In function, it'll be a Black 3, White 3 is essentially what that is. That's my immediate prediction. Which would bring us to
so you think in the timeline it would take place after Black 2 and White 2?
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah.
Wow. Okay,
it does make sense. I mean, not for the remake, but it does make sense for an experimental game.
But if you think about it, like even Black 2, White 2, it is kind of a remake in itself.
All third versions kind of are.
Yeah.
That is a third version to me, but
yeah. It was. You didn't get Pokemon Gray. It was Black 2 and White 2 instead.
It's an alternate, like Paradox is a new term for the Pokemon universe. But like every time you reboot a game, you soft reset every new version of a game, every new remake, they're all just Paradox versions of each other. So I think that makes the most sense to me. And then moving on, okay, that was an hour of conversation. But
so just to be clear, you're saying that paradoxes are the friends we made along the way.
Yes, 100. That's what,
the
of course,
real
dude.
paradox.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, it's Chicken Dance, Momotaro.
Mochi.
I like how Soul does it. Like it's like yes.
That's how I would do it. It would be just like.
That's about how Penny did it.
So okay, and then
Mochi.
Shelving that conversation, I do think let's just do this top level predictions for basically the rollout of Gen 10. I think in 2025 in the holiday, we're gonna get Gen 10. If I was a betting man, I think they want to bring it back to Japan, right?
Okay.
And this will be the first game on the Nintendo Switch, the new console that they put out. Right?
Yes.
And I believe
I don't see it. If they don't do an experimental game, then yes. But if they do one,
if they do an experimental game, I could see it being on the Switch too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think in 2026,
if it's out.
2026 is because you got to think about it. Like the game that comes out in 2025, it's not January 2025. It's literally like 45 days away from 2026. So I think by releasing it in 2025, releasing Gen 10 in 2025, which I think is going to be in Japan,
it's a celebration.
It does, yeah. It's like now everyone has the game for the whole next year to be celebrating the Gen 10 game, which is on the 30th anniversary, which I think is going to have DLC in Kanto, not Kalos, in Kanto, which is going to have DLC in Kanto, which also is Johto, right?
3 for 3.
And it's going to be a beautiful celebration. And I think, but Lumi, you make a good point. What if they just say no more? What if they say no more DLC? Then
that was Soul's idea for the record.
Okay. I don't think I know I said that. I don't think they'll do it that soon. I think it will happen eventually. But they've only done 2 DLCs so far, for 2 gens.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe. But look, when was they did a third game for Emerald and Platinum.
They did Yellow, Crystal,
True.
Emerald,
True. Okay,
then
so
they
that's
moved
4.
to Black 2 and White 2.
Black 2 and White 2
because we know from scrap data in Sun and Moon that there was going to be an X2, Y2. So that would have been also a sequel. And then they did Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, which was another change because it wasn't a sequel. It was an alternate version, but 2 versions.
Which they were changing, like, every year they were changing. So, now we're back on the 3rd version, which is the DLC cycle. But they could, actually, I could be wrong. They could change it even in Gen 10. They could, especially because if it's the 30th anniversary.
Yeah, keep us. That is the gen that they're most because not only is it the 30th anniversary, but also I know Generations is really a fan term, but Game Freak has pretty much abided by it. You know what I mean? So it's also the 10th generation.
That's another thing too.
1-0. That's big. This is going to be the gen they
double
most
digits,
and hopefully they
have our jaws dropped.
Hopefully they master the open world experience. Like there's so many cool things they could do. I feel like if I don't know, dude, they could do so much. Like, what if the Gen 10 game literally borders the other side of Kanto, and then just like Kanto and Johto share a league, right? What if this
the
new
other side
region?
Of Kanto is the sea.
I'm sorry. What if north? How about this? North of Kanto, right?
Yeah, it would be Tohoku, I think.
It'd be north of Kanto.
Tohoku, yeah.
And then basically
Yeah.
what you have is you have this new league where you can travel. Think of it, dude. It's literally so perfect. You have Kanto. You can shill Kanto, right? You have the whole theme of Johto where there's 2 regions. There's multiple badges. Johto and Kanto both share a league. And then Gen 10 can also share that league, right? But you have the option to travel and collect whatever badges you want. And then the cherry on top is that you're shilling Kanto. You're tying the ultimate nostalgia of the Pokemon franchise, all the classic Pokemon, to your Gen 10 game on the 30th anniversary, and you're saying, come buy our game. It has Kanto.
I have
So
no
you're
doubts
saying
that there will be
three
shilling.
regions in
Well,
one game?
I think they could be. I think they could all be. I think this game could be more linear than we think, but I think.
I would like.
When I
that.
say linear, I mean like it's not going to be like fully open world like that, but I do think. No, who am I kidding?
We
It's
gotta
going to
do
be
a-
fully
Make
we
the
gotta do an
routes
open world.
expansive.
It'll
but
be fully
make it
open world.
linear.
We got to do an open world versus linear.
We do need to do that. We
Episode.
really need to do that.
Yeah.
I really want to do
Yeah,
that. That's
because we
very
have
fun.
thoughts.
Yeah.
Oh yes, we do.
So I
But
think So
I wouldn't hype it up too much, but at the same time, like I'm kind of expecting a lot for Gen 10 because it is so monumental,
Mhm.
you know. But at the same time, it's Game Freak.
yeah,
It's good to keep expectations
that is
low.
the only other thing is that like what could actually happen is they want to play it safe, so they're going to play it safe. New gen,
Yeah.
new Switch console, and then they don't need to blow it up because
Well,
if you think about it, like they have enough ammunition already to make a super successful Gen 10 game. It's a new game. It's again open world. It's a new console. It's 30th anniversary. Make it big. Then you celebrate
Many
Kanto
people-
on 30th anniversary, and then Gen 11. Now you can throw more stuff at Gen 11 to hype up Gen 11. Right? You don't want the thing to be like the greatest thing in the world, and then have Gen 11 be like, meh, just more.
The many people throughout this whole conversation, throughout time, have been saying that Gen 10 is likely to be a reboot of the whole franchise.
Bro,
So
that scares
there
me.
is like this whole idea,
Which is what
of
Black
it
and
being-
White did.
Which is what Black and White kind of did. They tried to a soft reboot. And Gen 10 could be a soft reboot because you are saying exactly that. It's like, where do they go after Gen 10? You know, maybe I asked Toby about this, of like his thoughts on it, because I'm not sure if it's Gen 10 or Gen 11, but there's lore even that backs this whole thing up. So is it Gen 10 or Gen 11 where we get a reboot? Like, is Gen 10 like the final hurrah of what we know as Pokemon?
But what does that mean,
We
dude?
get all the gimmicks in one, or we get this like masterpiece kind of game that, in a sense, not that it's performs in that way, but that it's got all of these callback content kind of
Luminous
thing.
flip book.
Yeah.
And then Gen 11 is a full reboot where it's like, it's Kanto, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But not Kanto. But you know what I mean? So yeah, it's the whole 30th anniversary Gen 10 conversation is a big one because of that.
I think they would want to do Gen 10 be the last hurrah, as you put it, because I
agree,
think that, you know, if you're celebrating an anniversary, you don't, you know, like when
Start
my
something
wife
new.
and I celebrate our wedding anniversary, we don't go, okay, let's start over this year. You know,
Yeah.
we celebrate the time we've had together.
Yeah.
So I think
That's a great point.
that Game Freak would do a similar thing, and they would have Gen 10 be the celebration of all that's come before it, and Gen 11 would be the soft reboot. And Dusty, you asked, what does that mean? Like, what is the, you know, change of Pokemon as we know it? Think right now there's like this unofficial fan terminology for like the eras of Pokemon, right? There's the classic era of Pokemon, which is like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
And then there's the modern era, which is like 5 through now. And you could argue 6 through now, but either way, like
Yeah.
I think it's just that it'll be like, I don't know how to explain how the
Yeah.
games are different than they used to be, but they are. There's a different vibe. There's a different feel.
A different philosophy.
Pokemon is
We've also-
different now.
We've also seen
It
upper management, right? The leaders of the company swap hands, right? Masuda is no longer like when Masuda stepped down. I guess he stepped up to more of a managerial role, right? He's not on the ground in the game, you know, creating the game, but I feel like that is. I feel like yeah, there's kind of a passing of the torch.
If they get rid of Omori, then yes.
Yeah.
Then we're like really moving. Then we're really.
I don't
moving.
want Omori to lose his job, but can he
No, me
move
either.
up to the Pokemon Company and because he's done so much good for it. It's just
I don't know about that, but
Oris was amazing. Oris was amazing.
I think he was not the sole director of that, if I remember correctly.
Thought he was.
You should look it up. But I think the first game that he ever directed was Sun and Moon, and that was it. And then he did Sword and Shield, and now he did Scarlet and Violet, and that was
he did. He was the full director of Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, full director of Sun and Moon, full director of Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet. And I'd say you did amazing with Oris. You did amazing with Sun and Moon. And then something happened.
Some people would argue with you about Sun and Moon. And Oras was already in what's the right word? It's already an established game. Like it was already just the Ruby and Sapphire.
I think
and I think that actually is his strong suit is building off things, right? Like
I agree.
Because that's the thing is he's bad with plot, right? Yeah. He's bad with pacing and plot. So I think when the pacing and plot is already provided to him, he actually can make a great game. He just
true. I don't hate
the
guy. The ideas that we've experienced in Scarlet and Violet have been amazing. There's so much going on that's good. So I can't say that it's all bad from Omori. I'm just saying, like you said, maybe it's just time for someone else so that we can change like what Dusty was just saying. We changed the old guard because he was like understudy of Masuda, and he's had how many games is that? That's 4 games that he's directed. So it's time maybe to just
look. Here's my thing. Sometimes I'm gonna get a little southern with y'all. All right. Sometimes in the south,
here comes the metaphor.
Sometimes you got a horse, and that horse, he's won his races. He's brought a lot of joy, but sometimes old Bessie, it'll get to a point where she can't race no more. You got to bring her out into the pasture and shoot her between the eyes.
Okay.
God, I didn't think it was actually going to go there, but here we are.
Metaphorically, I don't think we should fire or kill Omori, but I just mean he should be done being director.
Yeah, that's a metaphor. We don't believe in animal abuse.
I don't believe in murder.
No animals were hurt in the making of this.
That's like a southern.
Episode.
It's like a southern. Like it's like a little.
What do you mean no animals are hurt? You shoot it between the eyes. It's instant death. That's better than those little
southern
shots they give them.
Children's story. It's It's like
It's our Tooth Fairy.
Yeah, it's like the Tooth
Bessie
Fairy.
the horse comes every time we lose a baby tooth and gives us money.
I think
this is
guys.
How lore started.
I think Lumi's...
Wait, I want to go back to what you said, Dusty, because you said you think Gen 10 will be based on Japan. I wanted to hear everyone's thoughts on where Gen 10 will be set on, because I don't think we could talk about Gen 10 without at least touching on that.
Before I forget, I just did want to highlight, like, I think you said a good thing, Lumi, in response to Soul. We're building up this grandiose, this purposeful rollout for Gen 10 and the 30th anniversary. And while what Soul says sounds good, I do think at the end of the day, the Pokemon Company has no intention of resetting anything blindly. If they're going to reset something, there's going to be an intention and a strategy behind it to make more money and to continue growing.
Well, yeah, obviously.
And to
it's not going to
their
be
legacy.
like we're just destroying.
It's not just going to be like, yes, we should kill it now.
Yeah, but a lot of the things that we can imagine, right? Like, a lot of the things that we've discussed with Toby, right? About like kind of combining all the gimmicks or doing this or doing that. I think a lot of those things sound good to us. But the
fan ideas.
But the exclusivity of a lot of those features that we would like to streamline really have their charm and put value and retain value on those older games. So I don't know. I agree that they're going to do something big and something.
We don't know what it would be. We're just kind of.
Yeah. No, but I do that too. I'm like, oh, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be a culmination of something. But in reality, they're going to want to just
something
keep
like
doing the
Sun
same.
and Moon. Like where Sun and Moon wasn't necessarily grand in like in the way I think we're thinking, but it had tons of callbacks. Red and Blue appeared.
They got rid of gym leaders.
It had It also had, characters from across the generation, not just Red and Blue, but Annabelle popped up, Cynthia, Wally,
the dark type
Grimsley.
Grimsley.
Yeah, Grimsley. Chorus, it was it felt like a celebration of all that came before. And also you can't touch on it without saying Alolan forms. They revisited the classic Gen 1 Pokemon.
That's a great point.
By giving them regional variants. I think we will see something more like that, because also too, Sun and Moon is what people refer to as the age of Pokemon, right? Like, not only was Sun and Moon going on, but then we got the release of Pokemon Go. And so there'll be those things outside of them. Obviously, we're just here to talk about core series games right now.
Yeah.
But there'll be those things to celebrate the 30th anniversary going on outside of that will elevate the games. And then there might even be some kind of crossover between them all, like we saw with Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee.
I think to bring it back to what's up?
One thing just for sure is Kanto.
Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So to talk about
Charizard's getting a new form.
To talk about Gen 10 being in a region based on Japan, to tie it all right back up. What is a celebration, right? How do you tie back those classic characters? Give us a brand new region that takes place in Japan, because the first 4 generations of Pokemon obviously established in Japan, so all the lore and the culture and the nostalgia is tied to the Japanese region, right?
Legends Kanto.
And then if the base game's in Japan, then you have all these callback characters like Sun and Moon, right? All of a sudden you have Misty and Brock showing up. You have all these characters from Sinnoh. You have these characters from Hoenn, right? It becomes, maybe there's like a festival, right? Instead of the world tournament, it's like the world festival where you battle and people from all over all these Japanese regions come, right? And then because it's a region maybe north of, or just a region near these 4 other regions, Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, Sinnoh, then we get more regional forms, right? This all ties in line with what Sun and Moon provided us. Sun and Moon came out during the 20th year anniversary. Lumi, I think you make an excellent point with that.
I actually do not think that Gen 10 will be in Japan. I'm going to say what I think, not what I want, because there's going to be people who are going to be very angry with me for what I say. But I think Gen 10 will be in the Netherlands.
Okay.
And I think Netherlands is really small. I think it will have some crossover with Belgium too.
Sure.
But honestly, my reason why is because there's been a lot of Netherlands hints outside of the games. I mean, you have Pokemon did first off, there was a portrait in Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl that looked like Starry Night, which is a Van Gogh portrait. Van Gogh is, artist from the Netherlands. And then Pokemon did a collaboration with the
Van Gogh
Museum, which is also in Netherlands. And just, I don't know, there's been, Masuda even went and visited the Netherlands, which he doesn't work for Game Freak anymore, but it just shows a lot of collaboration between the country of Netherlands and the Pokemon company. And so I don't think
there was
it's
that
too
map.
wild.
There was that map.
There's that map. I completely forgot about that. There's also
they don't
a
even
map
say what it is.
In the Indigo Disc, it's not the terrarium. I thought it would be, but I can't line it up with anywhere in the terrarium.
It's not Kitakami either.
It's not Kitakami. It's not a part of Unova, and it looks kind of similar to the Netherlands.
It does.
Yeah. So so I told you what I want, but I could totally see that being a reality, because I think Pokemon also very intentionally staggers the styles and the aesthetics and the vibe of the regions that they put out, right? I think they very deliberately give us, for example, right, we get a tundra region in Sinnoh, and then they say, let's bring you to an urban region in Unova. And then they go, well, let's go to a beautiful region that's inspired by all this architecture and history, Kalos. And then they go, let's go to a tropical experience, because you got to remember that it's not just the games, right, that they're selling, but it basically the vibe of the region in the new game establishes what the Pokemon marketing system is going to be, and the vibe of everything that they put out, right? The
cards, anime,
everything, right? And right now we're in this very humid region, right? I think that's fair to say, right? It's
tropical and stuff too,
and I think that's why they allowed us to go to Kitakami, because that feel and the vibe is completely different from mainland Paldea. Blueberry Academy is technological, right? So different from mainline Paldea.
That was also, I think, a reference to like the past and future themes going on as well.
That's a great point. Yeah, absolutely. So to your point, Lumi, I could see a future where the Generation 10 game is, what would you say, Denmark?
I said Netherlands, and I think they would. I think we'd see a Scarlet and Violet type thing where they, piece Spain and Portugal together.
Yeah.
But really, unfortunately, kind of neglected Portugal and took like 2 or 3 things from there.
Yeah.
I think it would probably be, because Netherlands is pretty small.
Yeah.
I think it would probably be like Netherlands and Belgium.
Yeah.
And Belgium probably would get like the short end of the stick.
Yeah. But I could see that because, that's Northern Europe. It's going to be cold.
I'll give
and
you
they
mine.
have been liking Europe.
Yeah, they have been liking Europe. I don't know why.
So for the whole Europe thing, they did 4 Japanese regions.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And now they're on their 3rd European region.
Yeah.
So there could be a 4th European region.
It could be.
And then Gen 11, the reset, back to Japan.
But
something like that.
But what about Unova? That's we get one location in the US.
We got
2 American
Lola.
regions. We got
Lola.
Lola.
Oh,
and
the
Unova.
Lola. That's true. That's a good point.
Mm-hmm. It's not really. It's just a dumb pattern.
Yeah,
anyway. It doesn't
yeah.
really make any sense. But
What's the pattern?
for
4,
me,
2, 3.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. For me, I want it to be Italy. I do.
Sure.
I think that if it's a European region, it has crazy different terrain. The whole thing, like from top to bottom, it's like mountains to desert, and then and sea all around it. The Netherlands, the biggest problem is it is flat. When you're talking about different, what's the right word? Like a different setting or different. I don't want to say biomes, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
The Netherlands does not have a single mountain in it. I mean, it could be like a cool like idea that they're called the Netherlands because they're low under sea level and they built up stuff. Like there's a lot of lore to the Netherlands, but I don't think that it works so well for a region. I don't know. But
they could take like little pieces of Germany and cross it over. But then also at the end of the day too, Pokemon's gonna add what they need for the region. There's not deserts in France.
I know.
There's not bamboo forests in Paldea in Spain.
There's not a giant hole in Spain either.
There's not a giant crater in the middle of Spain.
No, I know, but at the same time, I don't know. It's small. All that stuff. It could be. I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying what I would want is Italy. What I think it could be.
Germany's pretty
fast. Yes. I think it could be a callback to Japan, number 1.
Mm-hmm.
I think it could be India because there's still so many things about India, including Gita. And then there's also the connection with someplace in Latin America to be possible.
I would also say Egypt, honestly.
Yeah, Egypt is a big one too. I can never guess what it's gonna be because there's
when
just
you
so
look
many
at the map,
options.
you're like, it
The
literally
only
could
time-
be anything.
What's really funny is I think the only time I was like confident about something and was
Galar.
right was Galar.
Yeah,
and what's
Galar
so
was
funny
right.
is there was nothing suggesting UK. And before that, I don't know, I had this feeling. I was like, it's the UK next.
Yeah.
And it was.
You know what's
like everybody thought it.
crazy?
That's not special on me.
Well, the reason for that is why I think Italy is a contender is because I've said this before. There's so many Pokemon fans in Italy, like so many. You have to think of where their base is.
100%.
Like when you think of Pokemon, do you think of German people? Not really that much. There are some, but like Europe is a huge place.
Some
for
German
Pokemon.
guy in the comments is about to just get really mad at you.
So
He exists. I know you exist out there, but with Italy,
You're 1 of 20 guy.
literally probably half of the Fakemon that you've seen are from an Italian person.
yeah,
Like they are so hype up on Pokemon. It's
I feel
intense.
like there's a lot of people in South America too.
Yes, there are, and that's why I think that that's also a
Honestly,
big contender.
you know what would be sick? Soul, you like said Legends Kanto later. What'd be really cool
I can totally see
is
that.
for us to get like a South America. Obviously would not be all of South America, but like somewhere in South America as
Yeah.
Gen 10 region. And then we get a Legends Kanto, and it's like about Mew being brought from that region that we were just in.
So
Kind of like how
sick.
Laventim was from Galar, you know?
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
really
Like
cool.
Brazil
the
is
professor comes
huge.
from that region and brings Mew, and it's like kind of the origin story of Mewtwo. That would be neat.
We could do a whole episode on this, to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
because like Brazil's a big one.
We should get, like, an
Egypt's a good
expert on.
one. We can lay out all of these because there's tons of connections
Yeah.
to all of these places.
I think
even
obviously
Australia
there's
has
More
been
than there's
heavily-
ever been. There's like
Yeah.
more than there's ever been. There's just tons of like honestly like valid hints
Yeah.
to other regions. You know, like there's valid hints to Egypt. There's valid
100%.
hints to Italy. There's valid hints to Australia, to India, to Netherlands. You know.
Yeah. There's
But all together, I really think that Japan makes the most sense. I'm just saying.
for the
For Gen
timing
10
of
30th
everything, I think
anniversary.
Japan.
Yeah.
It's like we've been away for so long. Let's return to home, reestablish what Pokemon is, and I think the type of kind of like restart that we could see, right? The soft reboot that we could see is not like a retcon of Kanto. I mean, we're gonna get that with anytime you return to a region, right? They kind of bend the canon and add to it and change it, right? But I think what we could actually see is basically the ideas, the fundamentals of what made Kanto so special, but in a new Japanese region, right? In what that would look like in a 3D open world game in Gen 10, right? It's like in 2024, or I guess it'd be 2025. Like, what is if they could start, that's what it is. If we could start over in 2025 on our 30th year anniversary, what would that look like, right? And I could see them giving us a brand new lizard starter, right? But it's a water type. A brand new turtle, but it's they've given us the grass.
That's what
type,
I think.
right?
That's what I think. Like the
a
whole
brand new
like
yeah, a brand
reboot
new
would be
frog.
like, though. That's what I think the reboot would be like.
Yeah, and
If
not
Gen
a
10 is the
reset
reboot,
of Kanto,
then yes.
but a brand new game
We
near
need
Kanto.
We need a grass alligator and a water cat.
Yeah,
for
the water
starters.
cat makes sense. And then what is it? A water monkey? Someone said a sea monkey. I was like, that's so great.
I don't
That'd
want
be
any
cool.
more monkeys, please. Done with the monkeys.
Yeah, we've done this a million times, but yeah, what is it? Kanto's here.
Kanto's there.
Johto's here. So it would be seen at this.
They gave
we've been
us
seeing something
literally
right here.
Kitakami.
It
Like
would be up
Kitakami.
above that. It would, Dusty.
Yeah, maybe like right
in
here.
HP. If you go to HPP guess, there's the map that Sutami gave us.
Oh, in the video?
Yeah. If you
Oh.
wanted to pull it up.
I think in the Discord channel.
In the Discord channel.
It'll change the layout if I do that.
Okay.
But
Well, my bad.
no.
Will it
that
if
would
you
be
pull
helpful.
up Discord on a browser?
I don't have it logged in though.
Oh.
That here. That
Here,
is a
I
good
can-
idea. I wonder though.
I'll
and
DM you on Twitter.
please.
The thing.
I don't think this. I'm not saying there is a pattern, but I wonder if there is any significance in the fact that they, created a region in France and then created a region north of that for the UK and then below it in Spain. Because now we have this like connective tissue, right, between these three regions. And
Do you want to know something really quick? Not
Yeah.
to stop your thought, but I think I'm on the same thought as you.
Yeah.
If you take that part of Italy that connects to France and you erase the French part and you move it right into Paldea, right into Spain, it kind of looks like the part of Paldea that
my
we
God.
see that is not, that everyone thinks is Kanto. I mean, Kalos.
Wait, say it again?
Kalos. Do you have
The border of Italy and France looks
that
like
right there.
the border of Paldea and the northeast area.
Right here.
Yeah. If you
The
pull-
border of Italy and France, like
Oh, it's
from
kissing.
Monaco up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you forget about France and you make it kiss
Yeah, you put it here.
Spain, yeah,
What if that's the Italy region?
it could be.
It does look like it's kissing. Did you say that on this episode?
It could be. Kalos is like above those two. Yeah.
I don't think that was this episode,
No,
but
it was last episode.
yeah.
This is what
If you
happens
look
when we
at-
record 3 back to back.
Was it this
you gotta
one?
find the no, you gotta
Oh,
find like the
Yeah,
there you
right
go.
here.
There you go.
Maybe not so much, but a little bit.
A little bit.
It's a
see
stretch.
It's similar. I mean, Pokemon, it's never 1-to-1, right? It's just similar. So, I mean, it's valid.
But that'd be crazy if like Paldea.
That was the Italy region, and
It's connected to Italy.
Kalos is above it somewhere, because this doesn't
Yeah.
fully equal France either. You know, like when
No,
you look at it, it doesn't add up.
Kalos ends like here, right?
Well, yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
thing about Kalos is it's actually not based off France. It's based off northern France. Like, it
Yeah.
pulls from, like,
Mm-hmm.
if you
So it
divided
ends
the
right here at
country in half.
Lyon.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So if you just pulled Italy over on top of France right there,
put it like right here.
yeah, and then it would attach like just
true.
like that, and that would be the Pokemon Europe.
I think honestly, looking at this, Paldea actually ends right here, right?
Yeah, it does.
And
I
then-
made that theory a while. I was like, "Where's Barcelona? Where is it?"
Barcelona. That's crazy.
I'm so sad they didn't do, like, Barcelona, and I obviously did not expect them to do bullfighting, but I wish they had done, like, the running of the Tauros,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So
All of that being said,
all of that being said, yeah.
Lumi did have something he wanted to pull up.
Oh, yeah, I had sent you the thing if you want to go back to it. The
Oh
the
yeah,
map
yes,
that
yes,
Tommy
I
gave
just
us
had it up.
on Twitter.
Yeah. So Pocus
There
Tommy
you
gave
go.
us this. Let's see. Yeah, you can see
The
it now.
dark gray areas are areas that are not in a
Pokemon game.
have not been used. That light gray area, so the deal with that is that has been used by a ranger game.
Yeah, but that's not. That might not be the same canon.
Right. Well, and also, to be honest, and not only if they haven't touched those games in 15 years, they can easily change it. But also, it could very well just pull from parts of it, and then hypothetically a new region could be the other part. But the big contender, I would say, is north of Kanto. Kanto's the purple, and I would say north of that, the blue is Kitakami.
Yeah.
So you
Not
have
all of
Kitakami be
Kitakami,
a part
Obviously.
of that region.
Like
Yeah.
we haven't seen all of that blue area, but Kitakami is based on and would be located somewhere within that blue
pulls-
area.
It pulls from pieces of that blue area.
Yeah. So if
Like
the,
it pulls from each of those little prefectures.
yeah, so for those listening, so this pink area is Kanto, the orange area is represented in Johto, and that's why you see this little tiny gap. That's that little island is the Whirl Islands. Over here is the is Cinnabar Island, and then
Cianwood City, Cinnabar.
sorry,
Kanto.
yes, Cianwood City, and then theoretically, I would say southwest of that could possibly be the Safari Zone. But we have the red area here, which
Our
is
zone's covered in the orange. Sutami.
oh,
said.
it is okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's an available area, possibly the DLC area of a Johto remake. But we got the red area here is Hoenn, and this green up here is Sinnoh.
It's
of
literally
course.
Sinnoh.
Literally
It's like
Sinnoh.
literally
It
the
looks
same.
identical. Like that's
It's
probably the most
identical.
1-to-1 map we've ever
Yes.
gotten.
Every time I see it, I'm like, it's not even Hokkaido. It's just Sinnoh.
Yeah.
Right, like it is funny with Kanto. Like sometimes I'll kind of have to zoom in on Japan and be like, "Oh, Tokyo, so that's Kanto."
Yeah.
But like with
Sinnoh,
you
you're
don't
like,
have to with
there it
Sinnoh.
is.
You're looking at Japan. You're like, okay, well that's Sinnoh.
That's really cool.
I
Yeah.
think if they did do it the Tohoku region, like they would do the whole thing too, because of the whole aspect of it being an open world, like big game.
Sure.
You know, like so you see how the blue part, it could just be just the blue part, but I think
Yeah.
that they would do the blue and the gray just to make it like a
Just to
big
combine it.
game.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, like
But
I think Kitakami would be a part of the region.
Yes,
I think so
yes,
too.
exactly.
Yeah.
And like
absolutely.
we'd revisit it, which in talking about how Sun and Moon had us, revisiting characters and stuff. Well, if you have Kitakami as an actual location in the Gen 10 game, you automatically have Kieran and Carmine, two
Yeah.
characters from Gen 9 appearing. You can also easily then explain Unova characters coming there because they're visiting their friend Kieran. You have Nimona could be there, Arvin could be there because we know they go to Kitakami now. So.
Yeah. That's a good
Yeah.
point. It does get me excited. I still like the idea of using this light gray area where the Pokemon Ranger games have taken inspiration, where those took place. I still like the idea of that.
That would add
and
up
below it.
more. That would add up more to the Petrarant epilogue story thing that we got.
Pecharunt is from that light gray area.
Okay.
Yeah. Which I think even the dark gray underneath it is part of it. I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but you know the part
I do
that
not know. But
that would make sense because there's one thing in that video that nobody's really talked about. I'm gonna post about it eventually, but it's just like it says that they traveled when he got his companions. They traveled over lands and then mountains and then seas. They traveled a sea to get to Kitakami.
I think they
Which
went
the sea
through
would be
Johto.
right here, right?
Yes,
No,
exactly.
I honestly, I'm thinking they went through Johto, then up through Fukui and Ishikawa, and then crossed the sea from Ishikawa to Kitakami.
Oh, up here?
It's possible.
Yeah, and then
Possible.
that's my thought process.
Yeah.
All I know is that it says seas, and that's just like, okay, so they weren't just in Johto because they could just literally walk straight
They
there.
could, but I mean, you see the sea would be kind of a shortcut.
That's crazy. Yeah, they're just from, I guess, Cinnabar. No, what is it? Ekritique City. Ekritique City would be like right here. There's a little at this point right here. I don't know if you could see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can barely see it right here. That would mean.
Of course,
that would be.
It could also mean that they came from Hokkaido.
Sure.
Sinnoh.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
They could have come from Sinnoh because they took Basculegion to get there. So
yeah, but
And
we know
Lapras.
Basculegion lives in
Lapras.
Kitakami, so they would again be in that sea between Ishikawa.
it's true, and it
Kitakami.
was a different time period as well. Like
Mhm.
Basculegion could have been all over
Right.
these Japanese regions at that time.
That's cool to think that. That's so cool.
Because so they also took Lapras, and Lapras does not
Mhm.
live in either Kitakami or Sinnoh.
It does in Kanto though,
Yep.
For real.
and Johto. So
Yeah. So, what are our final predictions for Generation 10? So, I think it's going to be.
I mean, I think that's.
Yeah,
I think I can't say anything else.
Okay.
Any of those regions. I think we should do a deep dive on each of those regions being potential things, but yeah,
Like the Gen 10 Chronicles, Netherlands, the Gen 10 Chronicles, Tohoku.
That's
do
true.
a series.
I know
you
we've got friends in California. That could be a whole region. We got friends.
I don't think
We got
but
friends-
Who knows?
We got friends
we
in
ain't
South
touching
America.
California
We can
anytime
do a
soon.
whole video with them.
If you want to wrap it up in some way,
Yeah.
I think that no matter what we get in the coming years, it's gonna be pretty good. Like if we get Unova, I'm happy. If we get Johto, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if we get a new region, I'm very happy. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
the biggest disappointments are when they don't give us anything new, like BDSP.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah.
Mhm.
And if
Ensign.
if you're listening to this in March or later in 2024, come back to this video
you know the answer.
and let us know and let us know
Yeah,
where
then
we're going.
Come back in
the answers.
2025. Let us know if
Yes.
we got Gen 10 right. Let us know after that. So on, so
Yeah,
on.
this was a super fun episode. If you guys want to keep listening to us, we did start a Clips channel, Hidden Power Plus. There should be a link in the description to subscribe there. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. And Lumi, do you want to let us know and thank our producers?
Yeah, so we want to give a special shout out to our mythical tier supporters. That's SEH, Art Gold, Jasco, Trash Panda, Candace Wendy's, and then we want to give an extra special shout out to our Arceus tier members, which is Drogain and Bramtastic. Thank you all so
Thank you
much.
guys so much.
Let's
Literally,
go.
your support, especially this time of year, is incredibly helpful. Ad rates are cut this time of year. There's a little bit of Pokemon fatigue among more regular fans, and
Hopefully not among you guys.
yeah, I don't think among you guys, but you guys,
the end of this video, they must like it okay.
yeah, you guys are ensuring that we stay active and upload every single week and keep this podcast going. So we love you guys. We appreciate you so much. Subscribe if you're new. If you want to join, if you want us to say your name at the end of the video, you can join the Patreon or become a YouTube channel member. We love you guys. See ya.
Bye.
This is a leap year. I don't know if it matters, but
No, it does. It's the 27th.
imagine-
It's a birthday.
Imagine
Your
they go,
birthday doesn't
sorry,
change on a leap year soul.
it's a leap year. We're
unless
not
you were
getting.
born on
Unless
that
you were
day.
born on February 20th.
Imagine they just like there's
Yeah.
like no Pokemon game coming out because of a leap year. That'd be
Fun
ridiculous.
fact, I have a niece who is a big Pokemon fan, and her birthday is also February 27th.
Okay, so you
Wow.
should after the show talk
Destiny.
to her to get her.
She knows. She knows what's happening. She knows the Gen 10 game because her and Pokemon are twins, and they have that psychic connection.